Are Tottenham the real deal? And I want to preface that question with we had 8 Spurs fans on our show last night. Half of them said we are definitely in a title race and/or we are winning the league. In your opinion, are they the real deal? The best start ever by a Premier League manager. They're top of the league by 2 points. Seemingly can do no wrong. Do you agree with them? Are they the real deal this season?
Nope. Yes, short and curlies of it is no. Let's just be real with it. I did a watch along for that game last night. They were very good. I've seen some of their fans saying they didn't play well. I thought they played really well. I thought they were really good. Defensively solid. Maddison balling out. Who knew? Yeah, there we go. 40 million's looking like an absolute steal. The centre back they've got, Van der Ven, is slotted straight into that team like he's been there forever. The goalkeeper made an unbelievable save at 0-0. I think that was off a corner, a header. But yeah, I thought they played really well last night, and that was for me. I've not watched every one of their games, obviously, but from the games that I have watched, I thought that was one of their better performances last night. And I've seen some Spurs fans say that they weren't that good. Mate, you weren't that good against Sheffield United. Yeah, you weren't that good in other games, but in that game last night, yeah, Fulham were just toothless, man. Like if Fulham had a bit of composure in the final third, it might have been a different game. But when you've got Willian and Iwobi running around, yeah, and I don't know how Willian stayed on the pitch for 90 odd minutes. Yeah, the right back Bassi gifting them their goals, but at the same time, they created quite a lot of opportunities last night. But I don't think they're going to win the league, Terry. I know we're a quarter of the way through the season, yeah, but yeah, come on, it's great for their fans. They've got their football club back. Oh, we got our Tottenham back and all of that malarkey. But they're just enjoying not watching Conte ball. Right. So they're getting all carried away. I've seen Fabrizio Romano tweeting out videos of the concourse after the game and all of this. And they're singing about Ange. It's great for them. Yeah, because they've been in the mud in terms of their football playing style for the last couple of years or whatever. But let's just be real with it. It's Tottenham. It's Tottenham. I'm 41 years old, Terry. I've seen them win 4 trophies in my lifetime. Yeah, it's Tottenham. They're not going to be better than Man City, right? And that's the team you have to overtake to win the league. They might end up finishing above us, Liverpool, and anyone else, but they're not finishing above Man City. Yeah, and let's be honest with this. Yeah, they're unbeaten. We're unbeaten. They're only 2 points ahead of Man City and Arsenal. Right, yes, we're unbeaten, but Man City have lost 2 games and are only 2 points behind them. And Man City ain't played anywhere near the level we know they're going to get to. They've had Rodri out for a few games through suspension. KDB's a massive miss for them. Yeah, Haaland's back on the score sheet at the weekend and still the top goal scorer in the league, despite going on a goal drought for 3 games or whatever it was. It's crazy. Yeah, and he scored more goals than probably most strikers are going to bag this season. It's only a quarter of the way through the season. So I don't see Spurs being a title challenger, no. I think they've had a great start. And I said this on the watch along last night. When Unai Emery took over at Arsenal, we lost our first 2 games, Man City and Chelsea. Then we went on a 23-game unbeaten streak. Yeah, and a lot of people back then were saying, oh, could Arsenal be in a... No. Yeah, because the performances are not sustainable all the time. Like you're nicking a win here and there, like Sheffield United. You'll get games where they'll go and blitz teams. Of course they will, because they're playing with confidence. They've got Son bagging, 7 goals now this season. Yeah, Richarlison even played half sensible last night. You know, Kulusevski looks like reborn under that manager. But they're literally James Maddison injury away from going back down the table a little bit. Yeah, I do think they're getting the top 4 or 5 or whatever it is this season. Yeah, I think that they're playing really well at the minute. The manager who's coming to the Premier League has been a breath of fresh air. Like he just says what he thinks, says it as it is. None of this gimmicks and Mickey Mouse rubbish that all these other managers are coming out with. But ultimately, I don't think their squad's anywhere near good enough to win a title. But let me just say one more thing, before you jump in, right? If they win the league, right, I swear to God, I do not want to see any Arsenal fan that has been back in a process, a project, a youth project process, coming out saying anything about it. Yeah. Because you've all been backing Arteta. If this guy come into the league, Terry, and in his first season won the league, I mean, that'd go down as with Tottenham as well. Because we've seen other managers come into the league under Chelsea and Man City or whatever, yeah, and win the league.
Yeah, but it was different when it was different though even when Jose did it, because the season before Ranieri's Chelsea weren't a bad team. To come in and take over a team from where they were, obviously Ranieri did it, but it wasn't his first time in England, but he took over Leicester and did what he did. But yeah, if Spurs do it, it'd be a phenomenal achievement, and it would put a lot of conversations around processes in general to bed, wouldn't it, if he came in? But
especially with the squad that he's got, because if you actually look at their squad, like they had no Basuma last night, yeah, and I thought Højbjerg did pretty well, yeah, and their fans are on his case, yeah. And listen, I don't watch him enough to know how good or bad he's been, but I've seen a lot of their fans saying he ain't good enough, he don't want to be there, etc., etc. I actually thought he played really well, yeah, and it is only one performance that I've seen. Obviously, they know their club better than I do, but when I look at the way they're playing, it's confidence, it's high energy, it's ball retention. Yeah, they're overlapping, they're interchanging. At one point, Kulusevski's on the left, then he's on the right. You know, Son's goal was quality, right? And they're playing with real confidence at the moment. They've only got one game a week, yeah, which is probably helping them. And Maddison's been an absolute revelation for them. Yeah, he's everything Arsenal fans think Odegaard is.
Really?
Yep. The way he was dropping a shoulder and dribbling through midfield yesterday, like strength, pace, power, yeah, precision with the passing after he does it. Yeah, and don't get it twisted. Odegaard's a decent player to watch when he's on it. Yeah, he's a good player, aesthetically pleasing on the eye. Yeah, James Maddison, people are saying, oh yeah, but you know, he got Leicester relegated. He still scored more goals than Odegaard last season. Yeah, still scored more goals than Odegaard, I think, last season in the league. I think he bagged 10 goals and Leicester got relegated. He was still doing it at a team that got relegated. And that is why I wanted him at Arsenal, and I have wanted him at Arsenal for a long time. Before we bought Odegaard, I wanted him. And now, this summer just gone, I wanted him. And that is looking like an absolute bargain, because it's not only just like the goals he can bring in terms of his own goals, it's the goals he can create and the way he brings players into the team as well, into the game. Yeah, his movement out wide sometimes brings a run in from midfield, like Son. Yeah, because he'll go out wide and Son will come in. It confuses people. Yeah, Andrew's got them set up perfect at the minute. But I just don't see it lasting. Yeah, and the reason I don't is like the drop off from their starting 11 down to their bench is just night and day. Like it's crazy. Yeah, like if they get their centre half out injured, either of them, both of them played great last night as well, by the way. Yeah, but if either one of them centre backs gets injured, they're back to Eric Dyer.
So I understand that. Just not going off the Maddison point. What is it about Maddison that you think makes him better than Odegaard? Though, what is it that he does that Odegaard can't, in your opinion, for you to say he's better?
Sorry, my bad. Odegaard scored 15 goals last season. Was it 15 goals Odegaard got? But overall, I think he's a better player. And I'll tell you why. Yeah, he's done it at a team like Leicester, who have been struggling relegation last season and got relegated. Right? I think that in terms of big games, he tends to turn up more. And when I say big games, that's not just against the bigger teams. It's like when it's on the line, you have to do it. Yeah, we've seen Odegaard do absolutely nothing against Lons the other week. Yeah, for me, that's a big game. You're back in the Champions League, the big time. Yeah, you have to turn up and you have to drag your team through a game. Yeah, when I've seen Maddison, not only for Leicester, but for Tottenham this season, he is the guy that gets stuck in. He's the guy that everything goes through. And he's going, yeah, give me the ball. I'll get us up the pitch. I'll have a shot. I'll whip the free kick in straight on a plate for Romero. Yeah, I'll do this. I'll deliver on the big stage. Yeah, because he's taken the opportunity, of playing for a bigger club than Leicester. And he's taken it, a bit like Declan Rice says. He's gone from West Ham to Arsenal, and look how brilliant he looks. Right? And it's like, I see Odegaard, you've played for Sociedad on loan. Yeah, you've played for Real Madrid. You've come to Arsenal. Well done. You had an anomaly season last season. Yeah. What are you doing this season? Because James Maddison consistently plays well over season after season. And I know he's a couple of years older, but if you look at James Maddison, not just the stats, but the actual performances over the last 3 or 4 years, he's consistently extremely good. When I watch this guy, I've never seen an Arsenal captain get subbed off so much. Yeah, he disappears way too often. When the chips are down, yeah, Maddison can press, but he can also be press resistant. Yeah, this guy, Odegaard, as soon as you press him, he's out the game. Yeah, nobody sees him. I didn't even know he was on the pitch the other day, mate. Yeah, apart from when he was trying to do a little fake huddle for Instagram. Yeah, James Maddison can score goals, create goals. Yeah, he'll drag you up a pitch. He'll get stuck in. He's more physical. Yeah, his passing may not be as good, yeah, and pleasing on the eye. But for me, I think that is one of the best signings of the season. And I'm fuming he plays for that lot. Because if you had him at Arsenal, even if he didn't start every week, but you had him in Odegaard interchanging, that instantly makes our midfield levels. Because now if Odegaard is ghosting, instead of bringing Havertz off the bench, you're bringing James Maddison off the bench. Or there's games where you can go, right, Odegaard, you sit down, mate. You've had a couple of poor games. I'm going to give James Maddison a go. Yeah, but now you know you've got a competent midfielder in there that is going to get goals, is going to get stuck in, is defensively half decent as well off the ball. Yeah, and I think all round he's a better footballer. Yeah, and the fact that he's been doing it year in, year out for Leicester. Yeah, and people want to make out, oh, he's always injured. He's always injured. Right? And you said before, the best ability is availability. Not at all. Odegaard's very rarely injured. How many times this season has he ghosted games? How many times has James Maddison ghosted? And it's not just this season. We could go back to last season. James Maddison bagged 10 goals for a struggling Leicester team and was consistently their best player every game over a course of a whole season when the rest of the players around him were poor. And this is why when people say, oh, yeah, but Odegaard needs this player around him and Partey and the cohesion with Jorginho and Rice, it's off. There was none of these excuses for James Maddison at Leicester. Yeah, when he's playing with bang average players that got relegated. And if you actually deep it, they sold Harry Winks to Leicester for 10 mil. So he only really cost 30 mil. Yeah, because they made 10 mil off of Winks and bought him for 40. So come on, that is an absolute.
Well, I think Maddison has been sensational. I think so far this season, I think he's most people's choice for the signing of the season so far, and I get why. What I would say is this: before I would say better than Odegaard, before I would start putting him in that top bracket, I want to see it more consistently at a big team, and I think that's fair because he's had. Was it 9 games now? He's played against United. He's played against Arsenal. You know, the Liverpool game is such a hard one to judge because Liverpool were dominating up until the red card, and then they still struggled really to break them down. As an example, you have to see the body of work over a period of time. What we haven't seen as well yet, and I get I do think there's question marks over Odegaard in some of the big games. I'm not denying that element, but we haven't seen Maddison play for Spurs in not just big games, as you say, occasions. But big games, as in, top 6 clashes. But we haven't seen any big moments yet where if they win, they go 8 points clear at the top of the league with 10 games to go. So, and that's not a dig at Maddison, but if we're going to be fair, this is why it's an unfair comparison right now. On ability and how someone is technically, you can make that comparison every day. You can judge Odegaard and say, I've seen him go missing too often in those big title challenging games. But Maddison's never been in any. So you can't say that he's better until he's also been in those moments.
Maddison was also pivotal in helping them win an FA Cup.
I understand that.
Win an FA Cup. And let's be real, Leicester shouldn't be winning an FA Cup. Let's just be real with it. Yeah, with all the other teams that enter that competition, you wouldn't be sitting there going, right, Leicester are favourites for me.
But when they won...
And then saying that, Real Sociedad, Odegaard won a cup for them as well. And he was pivotal in that season. So
yeah. So again, but I was also going to say to you that FA Cup. And I was wanting to say that FA Cup was a while ago. Like you kind of.
It was a few seasons ago.
And that was when
we won an FA Cup.
Yeah, but that was when Leicester were challenging for the top 4 every year. They were a good team back then. Leicester. Their fall off. Remember, they narrowly missed out on top 4 2 seasons on the bounce, and I think it was that second season where they then went on to win the FA Cup, and everyone thought that would be a springboard for them.
So that's great. So they were a decent team that were challenging for top 4, and James Maddison was playing well then. Then they were a struggling team, and James Maddison still played well and still was their best player last season. So he can do it when the pressure was a little bit on. Right? And one more thing I want to say. You said about he's not done it in a pressure situation in terms of going 8 points clear. Well, Captain Odegaard, yeah, where was he when we was 8 points clear? And he is the captain of Arsenal Football Club, right? Whether I think he should be captain or not is irrelevant. The manager's given him the armband. When the chips were down, the 93% champions, where was our captain?
So just in response to that, what I'll say is this. You're absolutely spot on when it comes to the criticism of Odegaard. But this is how you can spin all these things. So Maddison, I think, is a very good footballer. I praise him all the time. But you could also argue in 2 seasons where they were a shoo-in for the top 4, he was part of a team that bottled it and they missed out. He was also in a team that got relegated with a squad that, in my personal opinion, was too good to get relegated. There's some very good players in that team, including him as an example. So you can find ways of spinning negatives onto lots of people. But on this comparison that he's everything that Arsenal fans think Odegaard is, that means you're comparing the two of them in terms of what they've achieved and what they've delivered. And there's lots of closenesses. But what we haven't seen it, your big criticism of Odegaard is what he did in those big games in that title race. We've never seen Odegaard in that situation. So in that framing that has been created here, you can't say Odegaard's better because he's never been in that situation. I don't know. Example being, we've not really seen Harry Kane in the last 10 games of a title race. Can he score? Can he deliver in those matches like Aguero, like Rooney, like Andy Cole? Because he's never been in that situation. And I think that, so you can only compare those strikers that have done it in those moments with other players that have been in those environments.